Welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. Today we're going to continue with our phrasal verbs, and we are on the letter N. Now, similar to I, we don't have a lot of phrasal verbs for N formed from the same verb. There's at best there's one or two phrasal verbs for any one N verb. So instead I've come up with 8 different verbs all beginning with N, so that we have a list of verbs to look at, phrasal verbs to look at, but they're not all based on the same verb. So it was the same problem we had with I, because there's just not enough verbs beginning with N. So we have 8 to look at beginning with N. Let's begin. Number 1, nag at. When you nag at someone, you criticize them a lot, all the time. It's like complaining about somebody or criticizing somebody by speaking, by talking. Example, my boss is always nagging at me about my work performance. So if your boss is always criticizing you and complaining about you, they are nagging at you. Number 2, nail down. When you nail something down, you succeed at what you're doing, or you achieve what you're trying to do. It's like a success. Example, I nailed down the job in the first interview. So you were successful at getting the job from the interview. You nailed it down to succeed. Number 3, name after or named after. This is when you give like a baby the name of another person. So basically you have the baby, what's the name of the baby? And the baby is named after someone else, usually famous person or maybe somebody in your family. Example, I am named after the country music singer and actor Chris Christopherson. So that's where my name comes from, Chris. I'm named after this country music singer because my mother liked him back when I was born. Number 4, narrow down. When you narrow things down, you have a bunch of options, and you look at them and you reduce the list of options you get rid of the less important options, and then you're left with hopefully one option that you will pick. So it's to reduce options to make it easier to pick something or to make a decision. Example, we're discussing what country to visit for holiday, and we narrowed it down to Japan or Thailand. So maybe you began with a list of 10 countries and you talked about it, and you've gotten rid of a bunch of countries and you're left with 2 choices. Eventually, of course, you will pick one. So reduce the number of choices is to narrow down. Number 5, nerd out. This is to talk about something in a lot of detail, usually quite excitedly. Example, I tend to nerd out on Norse mythology if anyone asks me questions about it. Yeah, so when you're excited about something and you're going to talk about it a lot, as in nerd, of course, is nerd and geek are similar in meaning, but a little bit different. But the general idea of nerd is they have a lot of maybe useless information, or they know a lot of stuff. So if you're talking about something in great detail, you're nerding out. Okay, number 6, nod off. This means to fall asleep. So it's pretty straightforward. And it comes from the word nod. Nod is to nod your head, right? So if you're falling asleep, you're going to be nodding your head, right? You're going to be nodding off, and then of course eventually you'll fall asleep. It's your head motion to go down because you're falling asleep. Example, the teacher was speaking so slowly that the teachers got bored and many nodded off. So the students were bored and they fell asleep because the teacher was boring. Number 7, note down. This is to write stuff down for future reference, or like make a note of something. Example, she noted down my phone number so she could call me later. So when you write something down, you're noting it down. And number 8, nuzzle up 2. This one is kind of interesting. Typically animals do this, but I guess it's possible for people to do it too. So think about a dog or a cat, and they'll come up to you and they'll kind of, not like hug you, but they'll rub their face against your leg or their nose. That's to nuzzle. When you nuzzle up to somebody, you touch them in an affectionate way, but you're using your nose or your head or your face. Again, this is something you're going to see from cats and dogs. I guess people can do that too, although it is not so common. Generally, you just give somebody a hug, right? You're not going to nuzzle up to somebody with your face. Well, you can, but it's unusual. It's unusual for people to do it. Example: cats, when happy, often want to nuzzle up to you and sleep on your stomach. So the cat will rub up against you with their face, and they'll basically go to sleep on your stomach if they can. Now, this is cats in my experience. Obviously, some cats wouldn't do that, but some cats will. Okay, so that's 8 phrasal verbs beginning with N, all different verbs. So let me read them again. Nag at, nail down, name after, narrow down, nerd out, nod off, note down, and nuzzle up to. All right, so that's it for the video today. We'll be back tomorrow with the next phrasal verb. Yes, O is the next letter of the alphabet. So phrasal verbs O for tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and see you next time.